Okay, let's unpack this. When you think about how apparel brands try to win you over, there's a common playbook.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about chasing your loyalty with what seems like the obvious stuff.
Yeah, like endless discounts, these complicated points programs.
And constantly being on top of the absolute latest trend. It really feels like that has to be the winning strategy.
They pour, colossal amounts of money and energy into it.
Totally. Fast fashion cycles, nonstop sales events, building out these elaborate loyalty
The
schemes.
thinking seems to be give people what looks good, price it right, maybe at a discount.
And they'll just keep coming back.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Or so they think.
But here's the real question we're tackling in this deep dive.
Yeah.
Why, after all that huge investment in those things, do so many apparel brands still, struggle?
Struggle to build loyalty that actually lasts, you mean?
Exactly. Loyalty to the brand itself, not just
Mhm.
not just loyalty to whoever's got the cheapest t-shirt this week.
And that's where our source material really comes in. This deep dive is grounded in quite a bit of market research.
And what's it suggesting?
Well, the research points pretty clearly to brands being fixated on those surface level things we just mentioned.
Okay.
And in doing so, they're completely missing deeper, much more powerful drivers of what creates genuine loyalty.
Right. So our mission today is to dig into what these sources are telling us. What are these real, often overlooked factors?
The things that create truly lasting consumer loyalty in apparel.
Yeah, what are brands maybe getting wrong in their current approach, and what should they honestly be focusing on instead?
It really boils down to understanding that loyalty isn't just a transaction, it's a relationship.
A relationship built on something more fundamental.
Precisely. And the research even has a term for what happens when brands only focus on the surface stuff.
What's that?
They call it the loyalty illusion.
Ah, okay. So explain that. The prevailing brand assumption is what? Loyalty comes from style, price, promotions.
Pretty much. It feels logical, doesn't it? Have the
Uh-huh.
hottest look, the best price, maybe a sale.
And customers will beat a path to your door. Makes sense on the surface.
And that assumption directly fuels the strategies we see constantly.
Like the frantic pace of fast fashion.
Exactly. The never-ending cycle of seasonal sales, points programs where, honestly, you have to spend a small fortune to get anything back.
Right. And the consequence of all this.
Well, it's significant. While these tactics can definitely boost short-term sales figures, maybe move some inventory,
They get a spike, sure.
but they fundamentally fail to build any deep emotional connection with the customer. Loyalty just becomes purely transactional.
Meaning.
Think about it. If your main hook is just price, or being the trendiest right now,
Your customer is gone the second someone else is cheaper.
or has a slightly newer style, there's just no sticky connection holding them there. It's easily broken.
So the brand looks at its sales data, sees repeat buys, and thinks.
Great. Loyal customers.
But the research suggests they might just have frequent buyers, people responding to temporary triggers.
Precisely. That's the loyalty illusion the research talks about. Customers look loyal based on metrics like how often they buy.
But underneath,
They lack a true connection or, an inherent preference for that specific brand. They're just reacting.
reacting to external things, convenience, a sale, the current fad.
Rather than having a genuine bond with the brand itself, the core problem is brands are measuring transactional behavior.
And is staking it for relationship-based loyalty.
Exactly. They're overlooking the fundamental emotional stuff, the experiential elements you need for loyalty that actually lasts. Loyalty that survives when a competitor drops prices.
That's a critical difference. It's like dating someone just because they offer free dinner.
Perfect analogy. You're not building a relationship, you're just getting a meal. They're measuring the wrong thing if the goal is long-term commitment.
Okay, so if price and fleeting style aren't the deep drivers, what does the research say really matters? What are these overlooked factors for lasting loyalty?
Right. This is where it gets really interesting. The research points to several key areas that are way more influential for building that enduring connection.
Okay, like what?
First up is emotional connection and shared purpose. It turns out consumers today, maybe especially younger generations,
Uh-huh.
they're looking for brands that resonate with their values, their lifestyle on a deeper level. They want to feel like their purchase actually supports something.
Supports a brand that stands for something, like social causes or sustainability.
Or inclusivity, yeah. It's less about just buying a shirt and more about feeling aligned with a mission.
So it shifts from how much does this cost
Yeah,
to what does this brand actually represent?
exactly. Then next, and this is absolutely critical, consistent quality and trust.
Makes sense.
In apparel, this isn't just a nice extra, it's foundational. Customers value clothes that reliably fit well, feel comfortable, and crucially,
Lasts longer than a few washes.
precisely. How loyal do you feel to a brand when that thing you love just falls apart? Reliability builds trust. And trust is, well, non-negotiable for long-term loyalty.
Yeah. Zero loyalty to flimsy quality, that's for sure. What else builds that trust?
Personalization is another big one. Customers really appreciate it when recommendations or the communication they get.
Like emails or app notifications.
Yeah, when it all feels tailored to them. It shows the brand sees them as an individual, not just, another number in a database. Feeling understood and valued goes a long, long way.
That makes total sense. Nobody wants to feel like they're just getting generic spam.
Then there's community and belonging, building a sense of community, maybe through online groups or shared activities, or even just content that resonates with a certain lifestyle that creates a really powerful emotional anchor. People feel connected through the brand, not just to the brand.
Like finding your tribe almost. People who share your interests.
Exactly. You're people who also love, say, trail running or sustainable living, and the brand helps facilitate that connection.
Kind of building a world around the brand's identity.
That's a great way to put it. And the research also points to things that might seem smaller but build huge trust, like convenient after-sales support.
Meaning easy returns, good customer service.
Exactly. Those interactions after you've bought something, they might seem like minor details, but they have a huge impact on how you feel about the brand, especially if something goes wrong.
Definitely influences whether you'd risk buying from them again.
And we absolutely have to mention sustainability and ethical practices.
Right.
The sources are really clear on this. It's increasingly vital, particularly for younger shoppers. Transparency about eco-friendly sourcing, fair labor conditions.
Knowing how your clothes were made.
Yeah, that knowledge is shaping purchase decisions and building loyalty based on respect and shared values, not just assuming it's okay.
So it's really the combination of all these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Purpose, quality, personalization, community, good support, ethical consideration. That's how you build a truly holistic brand experience.
And it's that whole package, much more than just a low price or a trendy design.
That fosters loyalty that actually sticks around.
Okay, so these deeper drivers are what truly matter. But if brands are missing them, how does market research actually find these things? These subtle emotional nuances that, like, sales data just doesn't show?
Well, standard sales data is great for telling you what someone bought and when, and maybe some basic demographics.
But not the why.
Exactly. It's totally silent on why they chose your brand this time, what they felt during the experience, or how they perceived your brand's values, if at all.
So you need different tools. You need to listen differently.
Precisely. And that's where research methods that go deeper come into play. Qualitative methods are incredibly valuable here.
Like what specifically?
Think in-depth interviews. Researchers sitting down one-on-one with consumers, really exploring their feelings, their motivations, pain points, aspirations, all related to apparel.
Getting past the surface answers.
Or ethnographic studies, where researchers actually observe people in their natural settings, how they shop, how they use clothes to express identity, how clothing fits into their social life.
Wow, that sounds like getting a much richer, more human picture than just numbers on a spreadsheet.
It is. You capture those emotional drivers, the unmet needs that people might not even articulate directly.
But you also need the numbers, right? To see how widespread these feelings are.
Absolutely. You need to quantify the impact. So large-scale quantitative surveys are crucial. They measure the relative importance of these emotional, ethical, and experiential factors compared to the traditional ones like price or style.
So you can ask thousands of people directly, how important is sustainability versus price for you?
Exactly. Get statistical weight behind those qualitative findings, and listening to the kind of unfiltered public conversation is vital too.
Social media, reviews.
You got it. Sentiment analysis, systematically analyzing social media chatter, online reviews, forum discussions. It reveals how consumers talk about brands in their own words.
What values do they bring up spontaneously? What frustrates them?
It's like a real-time pulse check on what's resonating and what's falling flat, straight from the customer's mouth, unfiltered by survey questions.
So what's powerful about using all these methods together?
Is that it moves you beyond just guessing why someone clicked buy. It lets brands understand that complex interplay between practical needs like fit and price.
And the deeper emotional desires, the value alignment stuff.
And that understanding provides genuinely actionable insights. Insights to build strategies that feel authentic and truly connect, rather than just trying to game the system with temporary incentives.
Okay, so if the research clearly points towards these deeper drivers, what are the strategic shifts that apparel brands actually need to make? How do they cultivate this lasting loyalty?
Well, it really requires a fundamental shift in focus, moving towards that emotional connection, authenticity, building the holistic experience we talked about.
So step one.
First, they need to embed authentic purpose. And I stress authentic. This isn't just a single marketing campaign.
Right.
It means integrating a clear purpose. Maybe it's environmental sustainability, maybe social justice, whatever fits the brand directly into its core identity.
And then showing it through actions.
Consistently demonstrating it through concrete actions, not just, feel-good advertising. Walking the walk.
Makes sense. What's next?
Second, invest in quality and transparency. This is all about building fundamental trust.
So better materials, better construction.
Yes, dedicating real resources to ensure products are durable, well-made, and reliable.
Right.
And crucially, being open about it.
Being transparent about where materials come from, how things are made.
Exactly. Sharing information about the supply chain. That directly tackles the trust issues and the ethical concerns we discussed.
Okay. Purpose, quality, and transparency. What else?
Third, leverage data-driven personalization. Using the data they collect responsibly, obviously respecting privacy,
That's key.
to genuinely enhance the customer's experience, offering tailored product suggestions that actually make sense for them,
Sending relevant content, not just generic blasts.
making the online or even the in-store journey feel more individualized, more understood.
Making the customer feel seen. Got it. Number 4.
Fourth, foster community engagement. Build those connections we talked about.
How specifically? Social media groups.
Could be social media groups, yeah. Or hosting events tied to shared interests like running clubs or craft workshops.
Yeah.
Creating content that encourages interaction.
Making customers feel part of a lifestyle or a movement associated with the brand.
Bringing people together around the brand's world, not just selling to them individually.
Okay. And 5th,
Don't forget the end of the journey. Optimize post-purchase experiences.
the returns and customer service bit.
Yes. Make returns genuinely easy and hassle-free. Ensure customer service is helpful, responsive, and empowered to solve problems. These experiences after the sale can really cement or destroy the relationship.
And finally, you mentioned being open about ethics.
Right. Communicate ethical efforts. If you are making strides in sustainability or ethical production, be open about it. Don't hide it.
Because conscious consumers are looking for that info.
They are, and that transparency builds respect and affinity, showing you share their values.
So, taken together, these shifts,
Mm-hmm.
they create a brand that resonates on a deeper level.
Exactly. It moves beyond just fulfilling a functional need, I need a new shirt,
Yeah.
to meeting the emotional and value-driven needs of modern consumers. That's where lasting loyalty lives.
This all sounds incredibly compelling in theory, but, are there actual real-world examples? Brands mentioned in the sources that are nailing this, successfully implementing these deeper loyalty drivers.
Absolutely. The research definitely highlights several brands that really embody these principles. Patagonia is often the first one mentioned.
Right, the outdoor gear company.
Their loyalty isn't just because they sell, durable jackets. It's deeply tied to their unwavering, very public commitment to environmental activism.
So customers feel like buying from them is supporting a cause.
Precisely. They feel their purchases actively contribute to something they believe in. It creates this powerful alignment of values with the brand's actions. That's embedding authentic purpose.
Clear example. Who else?
Nike does this well, too, maybe more around lifestyle and community.
So
Well, they've built incredible personalization through things like the Nike Run Club app, offering tailored training plans, tracking runs.
they can get personal.
Yeah, but they pair that with massive community building efforts, events, challenges, connecting runners. They create this whole lifestyle ecosystem around sport and wellness.
So it extends way beyond just buying the shoes or the shorts.
It's about being part of that activity, part of that community, facilitated by the brand.
Okay, interesting. Another one.
Then there's Everlane. They really built their whole brand identity around radical transparency.
What does that mean in practice?
They openly share detailed breakdowns of their production costs, materials, labor, transport. They tell you exactly where clothes are made, sometimes even showing the factories.
Wow, that's very open.
It is. And that level of openness builds tremendous trust, especially with consumers who really prioritize ethical production and fair labor.
That's a powerful way to demonstrate value alignment and build trust through transparency.
Definitely. And Lululemon is often cited for its success in cultivating really strong brand communities.
The yoga and athletic wear brand.
Yeah, they host events like free yoga classes, run clubs. They have ambassador programs featuring local instructors and athletes.
Tying into their customers' lifestyles.
Exactly, aligning directly with their customers' wellness and lifestyle aspirations. It fosters the strong sense of belonging that ties people emotionally to the brand.
So these examples really drive home the point, don't they?
They do. They show that loyalty built on these deeper connections, purpose, personalization, community, transparency, leads to much more sustainable, resilient growth.
It's far more powerful than just constantly chasing the next trend or relying on the deepest discount.
They demonstrate what's possible when you move beyond that loyalty illusion we talked about earlier.
But okay, making these kinds of fundamental shifts, it can't be easy. What are some of the biggest challenges apparel brands actually face when they try to pivot towards these deeper loyalty drivers?
Oh, there are significant hurdles, for sure. And the research points to a few key ones. A major tension, especially for the bigger players, is balancing speed and sustainability.
The fast fashion problem.
Exactly. The core model of fast fashion is built on incredible speed, getting trends from the runway or social media into stores almost instantly.
Which seems completely at odds with.
With the slower, more careful, more transparent processes needed for genuinely ethical sourcing, ensuring fair labor, minimizing environmental impact, it's a fundamental conflict in the business model for many.
You can't easily do both hyperspeed and deep ethics without massive, massive changes.
It's incredibly difficult. Another challenge is data privacy and regulation.
Right, we mentioned personalization needs data.
It does, but brands have to navigate this increasingly complex web of rules around collecting, storing, and using consumer data. Think GDPR, CCPA, things like that.
So balancing the desire to personalize.
With the absolute need to protect privacy and comply with all these regulations can be really tricky. It can limit how easily or effectively they can implement some personalization strategies.
You want it to feel helpful and relevant, not intrusive or, frankly, creepy.
Precisely. Then there's the whole issue of consumer skepticism.
People being wary of brands just saying the right things.
Exactly. With terms like greenwashing becoming common knowledge, consumers are increasingly cynical about brands making claims about purpose or sustainability that don't feel genuinely backed up by real action.
So if it feels like just a marketing ploy.
It can backfire spectacularly. It can actually damage trust even more than saying nothing. Authenticity is paramount, and proving that authenticity is hard, ongoing work.
That skepticism hurdle seems like a big one. Requires real, genuine commitment.
It does. And finally, there are the significant resource and cultural shifts required internally, meaning investing in true, lasting quality costs more upfront. Implementing full supply chain transparency takes time, technology, and personnel. Building meaningful community initiatives requires dedicated resources.
It's not cheap or easy.
No. And beyond the financial investment, it often demands a deep cultural change within the company itself, shifting from being purely product-centric or sales-centric
To becoming genuinely customer-centric and values-driven.
that can be particularly difficult for large, established organizations with ingrained ways of working, or even for smaller brands that just don't have the deep pockets for these investments.
Sounds like it really needs buy-in and commitment from the very top all the way down.
It absolutely does. But the research also provides pretty strong evidence for why tackling these challenges is worth the effort.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, there's a fast fact highlighted in the sources that really stands out. It notes that brands that successfully implement community-building efforts see, on average, a 25% higher customer retention rate,
Wow, 25% higher.
compared to brands that rely primarily on just discounts and promotions.
A 25% higher retention rate just from building community. I mean, that number alone makes a powerful case for moving beyond purely transactional tactics, doesn't it?
It's a very powerful validation of focusing on these deeper drivers. Overcoming the challenges we talked about, it requires clear leadership, a genuine long-term vision that prioritizes relationships over just transactions,
And everyone pulling in the same direction.
and an integrated approach across the entire organization. From design and production all the way through to marketing and customer service, it has to be holistic.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. The main takeaway from this deep dive seems really clear. Genuine consumer loyalty in the apparel world isn't fundamentally built by chasing the latest trend or offering the biggest discount.
No, it's built on something much more substantial.
Things like emotional connection, real trust, alignment with shared values.
and the overall experience a brand provides, consistently throughout the whole customer journey.
And crucially, the kind of market research we've been exploring, the qualitative, the quantitative, the sentiment analysis that provides the tools and the evidence.
To uncover these vital, often overlooked drivers that separate fleeting purchases from truly lasting loyalty.
It's a powerful reminder, I think, that building a truly resilient brand means connecting with customers on a more human level.
Not just treating them as sales figures on a dashboard.
It requires understanding what truly matters to them beyond just the price tag on a piece of clothing.
Absolutely. Moving beyond the illusion of loyalty to build something real.
So thinking about all the challenges we've discussed, balancing speed versus sustainability, navigating data privacy, fighting that consumer skepticism, here's a final thought for you, our listener. What could be one small, concrete step that any apparel brand, big or small, could take, maybe even starting today, to begin building that genuine trust and connection instead of just relying on the loyalty illusion? That's something to consider as you look at the brands you interact with every day.